Hey y'all, DT Neal here talking more about stories, fiction, science fiction in this case. Um, you know, I talked before about hard sci-fi versus social sci-fi, aka soft science fiction. And one of the challenges I think that we're facing as a species is for all of their commitment to veracity in their storytelling from the hard sci-fi perspective. Um, it's still very much technofantasy because when you look at the logistical challenges of space exploration, it's daunting. It's daunting on a level that I think most people don't even comprehend. It's not just like walking down the street. It's any kind of space exploration is a massive undertaking that will require, for us to be able to credibly do it, will require a massive degree of philosophical evolution, scientific advancement, political advancement, economic advancement for humanity to credibly be able to colonize the stars. And so while it may not be music to some people's ears, that's why I consider hard science fiction as just another form of techno fantasy. So why cast aspersions on social science fiction, soft science fiction? Because it's all in the realm of techno fantasy, really. It's kind of the same reason why I think literary writers turning their noses up at genre fiction is sort of presumptuous, because it's still fiction. You're still creating something out of nothing. And the idea that there aren't tropes and particular things in literary fiction is kind of funny to me. So anyway, that's a digression. But science fiction does afford glimpses into those areas, and I think there's a lot to be gained. I feel like humanity, we have advanced more technologically than we have advanced philosophically or economically or politically in many regards. While certainly the everyday conduct of a human being today is certainly different in broad brushstrokes than, say, somebody a century ago or 500 years ago. We're still human beings. There are still core human ideas and human values that are inherent in the human species. It's just the trappings are different. The technology is certainly different, but that's the point. One can look at the technological advancement and say, "Wow, we have really advanced," but people are still behaving in ways as if it were 50,000 years ago. We're making some progress. There's at least among most of us a perception that slavery is a bad thing. There's perhaps a smaller percentage of people who think that wage slavery is a bad thing, compared to certain prevailing norms and ideas and that have persisted despite the technological advancement. In fact, people can look at things like the 40-hour work week as a vestige of an older, more industrial frame of reference. When that came about, when people were working like 120-hour work weeks, and then they said, "Oh, the labor unions and such fought for the 40-hour work week," and that was a step in the right direction. But nowadays, we see a situation where companies want to go back to those higher hour work weeks, while everyday workers, want shorter work weeks. Do they really need to have a 40-hour work week? Is that unreasonable? Let alone an 80-hour work week. Should be lower. Technological means are there. So that's when I say that the technological stuff has, and the certain things have advanced, but the awareness, the philosophy, the political ideas haven't. And so that's why, from my perspective, science fiction is still very relevant, even though the everyday person may not think of it that way. And there are opportunities, I think, for storytellers, science fiction storytellers, to continue to delve into the labyrinthine nature of the human mind, which is also weirdly understandable and knowable. Like, I'm not one to think that we'll never figure out everything about the human mind, because I think that it's still finite. One can imagine a lot of things and one can see a lot of things, but those are still rooted in our physical existence, which is a limited existence. Anyway, I'll talk more on that in a bit.